We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello friends, myself Assistant Professor Vatsal Patel from Civil Engineering Department working at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Today we are going to discuss about pile foundation. So, a pile is a slender structural member made up of steel, concrete, wood or composite material. A pile is either driven into the soil or formed in a site by excavating a hole and filling it with the concrete. In case the strata of wood bearing capacity is not available near the ground, the foundation of the structure has to be deep with the purpose of attaining a bearing stratum which is suitable in all aspects. The most common forms of deep foundations are pile foundation, caisson or well foundations, cofferdams. Next is uses of pile foundation. The load of the superstructure is heavy and its distribution is uneven. The topsoil has poor bearing capacity. The subsoil water is high so that pumping of water from the open trenches for the shallow foundation is difficult and uneconomical. There is large fluctuation in subsoil water level, where timbering to the trenches is difficult and costly. The structure is situated on the seashore or riverbed, where there is danger in scoring action of water. Canal or deep drainage line exists near the foundation. The topsoil is of expensive nature. Piles are used for the limit foundation of transmission tower, offshore platform, which are subjected to the uplift forces. Next is factors affecting the selection of type of piles. Nature of structure, loading condition, availability of funds, availability of material and equipments, type of soil and its properties, groundwater table, self weight of pile, durability of pile, cost of pile, maintenance cost, length of pile required, number of pile required, case study of adjacent building, facilities available for pile driving, difficulties in pile driving, adaptability to varying length, presence of acids and other minerals in the soil that will injure the pile, and erosion of soil near the structure. So now we will deeply discuss about it. First one is nature of structure. For the structure on the land, the driven and cast in place piles are usually the cheapest for moderate loadings and unhampered site conditions. For the foundation of wharf structures and jetties on the seashore, the driven piles or driven and cast in place cast piles are preferred. In case of piling is to be done very near to some existing structure, open-ended tube piles or H-pile may work out to a good choice. Piles used to support marine structure or structure above open water should precast type. The jack piles are suitable for underpinning existing structures. For heavy structure, large diameter board piles are the most economical type. Next one is ground condition. If the subsoil consists of silt on the alluvium or appreciable depth, the pile will act as a friction pile. In case the ground is very weak or loose and it is intended to use cast in situ pile, casting will be required to prevent the inflow of soil into the pile hole. In adverse condition where the ground water flow is strong, pile with permanent casing should be used. Alternatively, precast piles may be used. In case the soil strata is comparatively firm, uncased cast in situ piles or precast pile may be selected. For reducing the length of the pile in the firm strata, pedestal pile will be more effective. In situation where it is necessary that the pile should penetrate into the rock for some depth, H piles may work out to be a good selection. In case the soil is firm clay, drill piles with or without enlarged base may work out to be a economical choice. Next one is durability. In situation where there is a possibility of the soil being chemically aggressive, high quality precast concrete pile should be selected. Timber piles may work out to be economical if they are used for the foundation of timber terrestrial structure with moderate load, or if the piles are to be used for protecting concrete docks, etc. Timber piles are not suitable for marine conditions as they are likely to be affected by borers or insects. Next is cost consideration. While selecting a particular type of pile, the cost of pile, cost of driving, cost of maintenance of pile and availability of funds should be given due consideration. Next is classification of piles based on their function or use, which are end-bearing pile, friction pile, compaction pile, tension pile, anchor pile, fender pile, batter pile and sheet pile. So first one is end bearing pile. So you can see it in the image. This pile penetrate through the soft soil and their bottom or tips rest on the hard stratum. These piles act as columns. The soft material surrounding the piles provides some lateral support. Next one is friction pile, which you can see in the image. When loose soil extends to a great depth, piles are driven up to such a depth that frictional resistance develops at the sides of the piles equal the load coming on the piles. Friction piles are used when a hard stratum is available at greater depth. The total frictional resistance can be increased in the following ways: by increasing the length of pile, by increasing the diameter of pile, by making the surface of the pile rough, by placing the piles closely, by grouping the piles. Next one is compaction pile, which you can see in the image. When piles are driven in loose granular soil with aim of increasing the bearing capacity of soil, the piles are termed as compaction piles. These piles themselves do not carry any load. Next is tension pile. You can see it in the image where turning force and frictional force is shown. These piles anchor down the structure subjected to uplift due to hydrostatic pressure or due to overturning moment. It is also called uplift pile. Next one is anchor pile, fender pile, batter pile and sheet pile, which you can see in the image. All the piles are shown. So moving towards it, anchor piles provide anchorage against the horizontal pull from sheet piling or other pulling force. Fender piles are used to protect waterfront structures against impact from ships or other floating objects. Batter piles are used to resist large horizontal forces or inclined forces. Sheet piles are used as bulkheads or as impervious cutoff to reduce seepage and uplift under hydraulic structures. Next, classification based on materials and composition, which are mainly timber piles, steel piles, concrete pile and composite piles. So here you can see timber pile in the image. So moving forward to it, timber piles are made of tree trunk driven with a small end as a point. They may be circular or square. They are 30 to 50 cm in diameter with a length not exceeding 20 times its top width. At the bottom, a cast iron shoe is provided and atop a steel plate is fixed. They have small bearing capacity and are not permanent unless treated. Next, timber pile advantages. Economical, where timber is easily available, can be driven rapidly and as such saves time. Because of elasticity, timber piles are recommended for sites subjected to unusual lateral forces. Say example, ship or ferry terminal do not need heavy machinery and elaborate technical supervision. Being light, they can be easily handled. They can be easily withdrawn if needed. Next, disadvantages. This pile cannot take heavy load and are unsuitable for the use as end-bearing pile, liable to decay or deteriorate by salt, water or insect. Restricted length, and it is rather difficult to produce or prosecute piles in required size and length. It is difficult or rather impossible to drive these piles into the hard stratum. So next one is sheet piles. You can see rolled sheet piles and add sheet pile in the image. So moving towards it, steel piles are usually of rolled edge section or thick pipe section. These piles used to withstand large impact stresses and where less distribution from driving is desired. Steel seat piles and edge piles are generally used to support the open excavation and to provide seepage barrier. Next one is concrete pile. You can see it in the image. Concrete piles are either precast or cast in situ. Precast piles are cast and cured at the casting site and then transported to the site for installation. These piles are adequately reinforced to withstand handling stresses along with working stresses. Precast piles are normally suitable for short length. Cast in situ piles are constructed by drilling hole in the ground and then filling the hole by concrete after placing for the reinforcement. Next one is precast concrete pile. So you can see plan and its elevation of this pile: square pile, round pile and hexagonal pile. So precast piles are those which are manufactured in factory or at a place away from construction site and then driven into the ground at the place required. This pile require heavy pile driving machinery. Precast piles may be square, octagonal or circular in cross section and may be tapered or parallel sided longitudinally. The size of pile may vary from 30 cm to 50 cm in cross-sectional dimension and up to 20 m or more in length. The reinforcement may consist of longitudinal steel bars of 20 mm to 40 mm in diameter, 4 to 8 nose with the ties of 6 to 10 mm diameter at 100 m center to center spacing for the top and bottom, 1 m length and 300 mm center to center spacing from middle length. A concrete cover of at least 50 mm is provided and the grade of concrete should be M20. Next one is procedure for forming precast concrete pile, which involves the formwork for the piles is prepared and it is coated with soap solution or oil to prevent adhesion. The cage of reinforcement is prepared as per design and this cage is then placed in the formwork. A concrete cover of at least 50 mm is provided. A concrete grade M20 is prepared with proportion 1:1.5:3. The size of coarse aggregate varies from 10 mm to 25 mm. The concrete is laid in the formwork and well compacted using vibrators. The forms are removed after 3 days and the piles are kept in the same position for about 7 days or so. The piles are then shifted to a curing tank and after a period of about 3 or 4 weeks they become ready for use. Next, advantages of precast concrete piles. They will be cast well before the commencement of the work, resulting in rapid execution of work. The position of reinforcement in pile is not disturbed from its original position. They can be driven under water. The piles can be loaded soon after they have been driven to a desired depth. Any number of piles can be manufactured at a convenient place and this may prove to be economical. These piles are highly resistant to biological and chemical action of the subsoil. Next, disadvantages of precast concrete pile. These piles are heavy, therefore they require special equipment for handling and transportation. If sufficient care is not taken, this pile may break during transportation or driving. They require heavy pile driving equipment. Extra reinforcement is required to bear handling and driving stresses. Hence, these piles are costly. The length of the pile is restricted since it is dependent upon the transportation facility. It is difficult to increase the length of the pile previously estimated on the basis of boreholes. If the pile is found to be too long during driving, it is difficult and uneconomical to cut the pile. Next one is Raymond piles. The Raymond standard pile is used primarily as a frictional pile. It is provided with uniform taper of 1:30, resulting in shorter piles. The length of piles vary from 6 to 12 meter. The diameter of piles vary from 40 to 60 cm at the top and 20 to 30 at the bottom. The cell is driven into the ground with a collapsible steel mandrel or core in it having a same paper. The cell is gradually filled with the concrete up to the top. So here you can see it whole process in the image. Next one is MacArthur piles. MacArthur is a pile of uniform diameter using the corrected steel shell which remains in place as in Raymond piles. A heavy steel casing with a core is driven into the ground. When the desired depth is reached, the core is withdrawn and a corrected steel shell is placed in the casing. Concrete is placed in the shell by gradually compacting it and withdrawing the steel casing. So here you can see all the stages in the image. Next, BSP base driven piles. You can see it in the image. This pile consists of helically welded shell of steel plate. A concrete plug is provided at the bottom of the shell. Driving is done by allowing pile hammer to fall on the concrete plug. The casing is driving to the desired depth and then it is filled with concrete. Next is swage piles. Swage piles are used with advantages in some soil where the driving is very hard or where it is desired to leave watertight shell for some times before filling the concrete. In the first stage, a steel shell is placed on the precast concrete plug and a steel core which is not long enough to reach the plug is inserted in the plug. In the second stage, the pipe is driven over the plug until the core reaches the plug. The pipe is wedged out by the taper of the plug, thus forming a watertight joint. In the third stage, the pipe is driven to a specified depth. In the fourth stage, after the pipe was reached the desired depth, the core is removed and the pipe is filled with the concrete. Next one is button bottom piles. These piles are used in location where increase in the end bearing area is desired. The piles uses a concrete plug of shape of button. These piles have been used up to lengths of about 23 meter and for loads up to 50 tons. In the first stage, a steel pipe with 12 mm thick wall is set on the concrete button. The concrete button has a diameter about 25 mm larger than the pipe. In the second stage, the pipe and button are driven to a specified depth. In the third stage, a corrected steel shell is inserted in the pipe resting on the button. In the fourth stage, the casing is withdrawn, leaving the button in place and the shell is filled with concrete. A reinforcement may be used if necessary. Next, uncased cast in situ concrete piles. Advantages and disadvantages. So moving towards the advantages, these piles are cheap as no casing will be left in the ground. Special handling equipment is not required. Concrete is not liable to damage from driving. Cutting of excess length is not required. Storage space not required. Disadvantages are great skill is required. It is likely to be damaged from subsoil pressure and ground movements which result from pile driving and obstruction in the ground. Next one is simplex pile, which you can see in the image. Simplex pile can be driven through soft or hard soils. In this type of piles, a steel tube fitted with a cast iron shoe is driven into the ground up to the desired depth. Reinforcement, if necessary, is put inside the tube. Concrete is then poured into the tube and the tube is slowly withdrawn, concrete being tempered, leaving behind the cast iron shoe. Next one is Franke piles, which you can see in the image. In this type of pile, a plug of dry concrete gravel is from underground by heavy removable pipe set. A diesel operated drop hammer of 20 to 30 kN weight is driven on the concrete plug. When the tube has reduced the desired depth, the tube is held in position by cables and the hammer is applied to the concrete plug, forcing it down and outwards. In the next stage, the shaft is formed by introducing successive charges of concrete ramming each in turn and withdrawn the casing gradually about 300 mm at a time. The pile diameter in Franke piles may vary from 50 cm to 60 cm, while the enlarged base may have a diameter of about 90 cm. The pile has a load carrying capacity of 60 to 90 tons. Next, vibro piles, which you can see in the image. These piles are used where the ground is soft, thus offering little frictional resistance to the flow of concrete. Both standard and expanded piles are formed by vibro process. These piles are formed by driven a steel tube and so filling with concrete and withdrawing the steel tube. Standard vibro piles are made in size of 35, 45 and 50 cm diameter for loads of 60 to 70 tons. A steel tube fitted with the cast iron shoe is driven in a ground by 2 to 2.5 tons hammer operated by steam or compressed air, delivering up to 40 blows per minute with a stroke of about 1.4 meter. Next one is pedestal pile, which you can see it in the image. This type of piles are used where thin bearing stratum is reached with the reasonable depth. The core and casing are driven together into the ground till they reach the desired level. The core is taken out and the charge of concrete is placed in the tube. This core is again placed in the casing to rest on the poured concrete. Pressure is applied on the concrete through the core and at the same time the casing is withdrawn. The process is repeated till the casing is completely removed. Next one is pressure pile, which you can see in the image. This pile formed with the help of casing tube, boring auger and compressed air equipment. These piles are especially suitable for those congested sites where heavy vibration and noise are not permissible. A hole is bored into the ground by means of an auger, and as the boring proceeds, the hole is lined by a steel tube. When the tube reaches the required depth, the boring tool is withdrawn. In the second stage of the layer of concrete is laid and pressure cap is provided at the top of the tube. The process is repeated till the pile is completed. Next one is under-rim piles. These piles are developed by CBRI Roorkee in UP for serving as the foundation for black cotton soil, filled up ground and other types of soil having poor bearing capacity. An under-rim pile is a board cast in situ concrete piles having one or more bulb or underrims in its lower portion. The bulbs or underrims are formed by under-ramming tool. The diameter of the underrim piles varies from 20 cm to 50 cm and that of bulb varies from 2 to 3 times the diameter of pile. The length of underrim piles is about 3 meter to 8 meter. The spacing of pile may vary from 2 meter to 4 meter. The underrim piles can also be used for sandy soil with high water table. The load carrying capacity of underrim piles can be increased by adopting piles of larger diameter or by extending the length of the piles or by making more bulbs at the base. A single underrim pile has only one bulb at the bottom. When two or more bulbs are provided at the base, it is known as multi-bulb underrim pile. The vertical spacing between two bulbs varies from 1.25 to 1.50 times the diameter of bulb. So you can see in the image single bulb cast in situ pile and multi-bulb pile of underrim piles. Next one is pile spacing. The center to center distance of successive pile is known as pile spacing, which you can see in the image. It has to be carefully designed by considering the following factors like types of pile and material of pile, length of pile, grouping of piles, load coming on piles, obstruction during pile driving, nature of soil through which piles are passing. The spacing between piles in a group can be assumed based on the following functions. First, frictional piles need higher spacing than bearing piles. Second one, minimum spacing between piles is 2.5 and maximum spacing between piles is 8.0. So here you can see different arrangement of piles according to pile spacing, according to the numbers of pile. 2 to 7 piles spacing are shown in the image. Next, group of piles. Most pile foundation contain group of piles instead of single pile. This pile forming the group of piles may be arranged in square rectangular, triangular or circular as per the requirement. The bearing capacity of pile group may not be necessarily equal the sum of the bearing capacity of individual pile forming a group, which you can see in the image. Next, efficiency of group of piles. The efficiency of a pile group is defined as the ratio of load carrying capacity of the pile group to the sum of the load carrying capacity of the individual piles, which is given by E suffix G is equal to Q suffix G divided by summation QU. Factors of group efficiency: the number, length, diameter and spacing of the piles, the load transfer mode, whether it is frictional versus bearing, the sequence of installation, the soil type, the interaction if any between the pile cap and the soil, the direction of the applied load. Next one is pile driving. The process of forcing the pile into the ground without excavation is termed as the pile driving. The pile should be driven vertically. However, a tolerance of eccentricity of 2% of the pile length is permissible. The eccentricity is measured by means of plumb bob. The hammer is guided between two parallel steel members known as leads. So here you can see pile driving system schematic diagram and also real life image of it with all the components. Next one is pile hammer. There are various type of hammer like drop hammer, single acting hammer, double acting hammer, diesel hammer and vibratory hammer. So here you can see schematic diagram of the pile driving with the hammer, in which at the bottom soil is there, then after pile or precast or cast in situ is there, and then after on the pile there is a hammer grind on which the drop hammer fall. Next, drop hammer. They have low operation and low equipment cost and simple in construction. You can see it in the diagram and real life image. So moving forward to it, a hammer, or it is also known as ram or monkey, is raised by a winch and allowed to fall or drop by gravity on the top of the pile. The drop hammer is provided with lugs so that it can slide in the leads. A lifting eye or hook is provided to tie it with the rope. The weight of drop hammer varies from 0.5 to 2 tons. The height of fall may vary from 1.5 to 3 meters. The number of blows that can be imparted varies from 4 to 8 per minute. You can see drop hammer in the image. Next one is single acting hammer. If the hammer is raised by steam, compressed air or internal combustion, but it is allowed to fall by gravity alone, it is called as a single acting hammer. The energy of such hammer is equal to the weight of the ram times the height of fall. The weight of single acting hammer is about 2 tons. The fall is about 1 meter. The numbers of blows per hammer may vary from 50 to 60 per minute. So here you can see schematic diagram and real life image of single acting hammer. Next one is double acting hammer. The double acting hammer employs steam or air for lifting the ram and for accelerating the downward stroke. The weight of hammer is only 500 kg, but because of accelerating effect of steam or air pressure, it has an effect of a weight of 3 tons. It operates with suction of rapid flow, the number varying from 100 to 200 blows per minute. For light hammer, the number of blows may be even as high as 300 per minute. The pile driving is very quick. These hammers are very useful for driving piles under water. So here you can see double acting hammer. Next one is diesel hammer. You can see it in the image. The diesel hammer is a small, lightweight, self-contained and self-acting time using gasoline for the fuel. The total driving energy is the sum of the impact of the ram plus the energy delivered by explosion. Next one is pile hammer. If the driving has to be carried out by hammer, then following factors should be taken into the consideration. the size and weight of the pile, the driving resistance which has to be overcome to achieve the desired penetration, the available space and headroom in the site because the hammer has to be dropped from the certain height, the availability of cranes, the noise restriction which may be enforced in the locality. Next one is pile driving formulas. The ultimate load carrying capacity or ultimate bearing capacity denoted by QF of a pile is defined as the maximum load which can be carried by a pile and at which the pile continues to sink without further increase of load. The allowable load QA is the safe load which the pile can carry safely and is determined on the basis of ultimate bearing resistance divided by appropriate factor of safety, the permissible settlement, and overall stability of the pile foundation. The load carrying capacity of a pile can be determined by following methods like dynamic formula and static formula. So moving towards the dynamic formula used for the precast concrete pile. When a pile hammer hits the pile, the total driving energy is equal to the weight of hammer times the height of drop or stroke. In addition to this, in the case of double acting hammer, some energy is also imparted by the steam pressure during the return stroke. The total downward energy is consumed by the work done in penetrating the pile and by certain losses. The various dynamic formula are essentially based on these assumptions. So here moving forward toward the dynamic formula, first one is engineering new formula which is denoted by QA which is equal to W into H divided by F into S plus C, where QA is the allowable load, W is equal to weight of hammer in kg, H is equal to height of fall in centimeter, F is equal to factor of safety which is taken as 6, S is equal to final set or say penetration per blow usually taken as average penetration centimeter per blow for the last 5 blows of hammer or last 20 blows for the steam hammer. C is equal to imperial constant which is equal to 2.5 cm for drop hammer and 0.25 cm for single or double acting hammer. So using it various equation like for drop hammer, for single acting steam hammer and for double acting steam hammer is given. Only the value of C is changed in the equation, remaining all the same. And in last one, the notation A is equal to effective area of piston in centimeter square and P is equal to mean effective steam pressure in kg per centimeter. Next one is Hill's formula, also known as the IS formula. Indian Standard IS 2911 Part 1 1964 gives the following formula based on original expression by Hare, where QF is equal to neta H into W into H neta B divided by S plus C by 2, where QF is equal to ultimate load on the pile, W is equal to weight of hammer in kg, H is equal to height on the drop of hammer in centimeter, S is equal to penetration or set in centimeter per blow, C is equal to total elastic compression which is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3, whereas C1, C2, C3 is equal to temporary elastic compression of dolly and packing, pile and soil respectively. Neta H is equal to efficiency of hammer variable from 65% for the same double acting steam hammers to 100% for drop hammers released by trigger. Neta B is equal to efficiency of hammer bolts, for example ratio of the energy after impact of striking energy of the ram. Next one is static formula. The static formula are based on the assumption that the ultimate bearing capacity QF of a pile is the sum of the total ultimate screen friction RF and total ultimate point or end bearing resistance RP. So static formula is given by QF is equal to RF plus RB and it is further divided like RF is equal to AS into RF and RP is equal to AP into RP. So static formula will be QF is equal to AS into RF plus AP into RP, where AS is surface area of pile upon which the screen friction acts. AP is equal to area of cross section of the piles on which bearing resistance acts, and for temper piles AP may be taken as the cross sectional area at the lower 1/3 of the embedded plate. RF is equal to average unit skin friction, which may be taken equal to the unit cohesion for cohesive soil, and RP is equal to unit point or toe resistance, which may be taken as 9C for cohesive soils. So here I end my session. Thank you all of you.